It's time to crown a champion. We're here at the Sim Racing Unleashed Championship Finale 225 here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway for the Season 11 finale here, where we decide our champion here of this 16 race season. It's going to be a banger of a race for sure here, with 6 playoff drivers taking a chance here at a championship at Sim Racing Unleashed. Thank you all for tuning in here tonight. My name is Zach Hall up here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Alongside me tonight, calling all the action, will be Sam Dyer, and we'll have our producer Robert Moyer Jr. up in the production box as always. But here we enter tonight, the 16th and final race. We have 6 drivers, all with different stories, coming in here tonight with a chance to fight for a championship. But man, definitely going to be a big factor also as we come into the unknown of the new update here on the next gen car. It's going to be a wild one, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in. It's going to get pretty spicy, that's for sure. But Sam, thank you for joining me here tonight, man, on this wonderful championship finale. It's going to be the unknown, but we got 6 drivers who are going to try to claim the unknown to get that championship.
Yeah, I mean, it's an honor to be up in the booth for a championship race, crowning a champion. Like you said, Zach, plenty of different storylines. The most recent update for the next-gen Cup car that is soon to now be, in just about a month, soon to be the current Gen Cup car for the current NASCAR series. But for these drivers, they are dealing with a lot of horsepower that is now up to the 670 horsepower package, a lot of low downforce. But for the Championship 6, it is going to be fun to watch, as we only have one driver that has won a championship already in their career, being that of Mark Whitley, who's trying to go for 3 in a row in his championship run. And then you got 5 other drivers that are here looking for their first championship victory. I think that's going to be the most fun. Who could get there first, or will we see more history from Mark Whitley?
Yeah, history could be made either way we look at this. Like you said, the other 5 not having championships, so we're going to talk about those guys. Steven Stippian, I mean, what a stellar season he's had the past 3 or 4 seasons here at SRU. So surprised he's never captured a championship at this point in his career. We also got Chuck Sweeting, a newcomer to the league this season. He has been very, very strong. He's looking to add that second win possibly to the column and maybe take away that that championship here tonight. I tell you what, he could be the dark horse, the one we got to really watch for here coming down to it with this update. I know he's very, very good when it comes to driving these cars with higher horsepower. So we'll see what he could do there. Also, Mark Koshik, the highest number of starts in all time here for the Cup Series at SRU. He's looking for his first championship. And then we also have Mike Chamberlain, who, man, what an underdog story that would be if he could come through. He's kind of flown under the radar here with 6 top 10s. And then also you got to shout out to Brad Delph looking for that first championship. And, man, he got that first win earlier this season, and now just trying to snag that big trophy. It's going to be really, really critical for him to come out here and prove it tonight that he's got the speed. But we just entered qualifying. Those 6 drivers, it's going to be critical for them to put themselves in early into that position, because this is going to be a little bit of a different package, man. We're normally seeing pack racing. This here, I think, could get a little more spread out as we head through one with some tire fall-off.
Yeah, watching these drivers right now, I mean, that pack racing aspect, it is going to change. I was watching the drivers during practice, trying to test a little bit of the restarts, trying to get a taste of how these starts are going to be. And we're going to be seeing drivers, it's right there. You see Steven Stippian, he gets the pole on his first lap, but the second lap gets scrubbed off. That is not what you want to see. But, Zach, that's what we're going to be seeing a lot during this race, that loose sensation out of the corner.
Yeah, loose sensation for sure. This car has got a completely different sensation. These guys are used to the past, build and update that we have with these cars, and you had a lot more grip, a lot more lateral grip. It felt like you could lean on the right side of the car, and that's really because, iRacing didn't have the data yet to put that into this race car here. With the other Gen 6 car, they kind of had a very similar feel. So when you got loose, you knew how to catch it already due to your past experience in that Gen 6 Cup Series car. Now here in the next gen car, we got the full update. This is what this car is going to handle like. And when you step sideways in this car, it goes away very quickly. You got to be on top of it at every moment. Right now, though, look at that. Chuck Sweeting, I said he might have been a dark horse. He jumps up to the top of the board there in qualifying also.
Chuck Sweeting trying to go for his first pole this season, and it is going to come at a prime time to do so if he can get it done. But here's the Hello Kitty machine of the 11 of that is Cedric Hunter, but on Cedric's time, only able to get up to second. So right now, Chuck Sweeting's got to be feeling comfortable, but there are a few drivers that have not gone out for qualifying just yet. We got to keep our eyes out, as I think really the big driver in my eyes that could possibly steal the pole watch out for that Michael Yarrow 98. He was showing a lot of speed during practice. He might be able to steal one here from Chuck.
Yeah, and I think Michael Yara has that style that will fit this car and the way it drives. That's a big factor that's had to change. You drive these cars completely differently than what these guys have driven all season long. Ooh, a little bit of smoke there from that race car as he brings it down onto the apron. But now we're going to jump here to Michael Yara and watch his qualifying lap. But like I said, it falls right into his style, kind of just that patient style, because this car here, this is not wide open racing, ladies and gentlemen. No lap will be run wide open. They're going to have to fully lift off the accelerator of these race cars, and it's a long time off throttle. You roll through the corner. I think a patient driver like Michael Yard, that's going to conserve the tires if he's patient on that throttle. He very well could be the one looking to maybe spoil some of these championship drivers race here and get up in the mix.
Michael Yarrow right now on the backstretch for the 98. The Adrenaline Shock 98 machine coming through 3 and 4. And right now, I mean, coming out of turn 2, that's going to be one of the trickier spots all night long that we're going to be seeing. But out of 4, smooth, calm. Lap number 1, we'll see where it places Michael Yarrow as climbs up to 11th. But now going to have to see if he can find a little bit more extra speed with some more heat in those tires.
And a very interesting line he just ran there. Very high entry into 1, cuts it down the exit. We'll see what type of speed it makes on the second lap here. Again, another wide sweeping arc here to the bottom line. That's about as arcing as you can do it. Didn't get all the way there though as he comes out of 4. We'll see if this time's a little bit better. I imagine it will be here, a 31.24, so that only moves him up 2 more slots to the 9th position. So yeah, some tough times here. And look, this package already showing is we got about 10 seconds left here. It's a difference in between these lap times. That's not normal. You normally see these next gen cars very stacked up due to that wide open racing.
Well, Zach, you thought that Chuck Sweeting was going to be kind of the favorite to watch, and after that, looks like he'll be the top driver. But man, what a season it's been! The really consistent that we saw from last season to this season, and now championship race, everything's really tossed up in the air. The unknown. Well, it's time for us to get gridded up.
Yeah, definitely time to get graded up here as we'll be bringing up our starting results here tonight. Checks me, like I said, that maybe that dark horse, or you're looking to bring it home that championship from that pole position. Second is going to be Cedric Hunter there, not a championship contender there. Third is going to go to S11, not also in that championship. Fourth is going to go to Hunter Hayward there. Fifth is going to be Mark Willie, one of our other playoff contenders. Sixth is going to be Mike Peters. Seventh, Brad Delp there, another championship contender. Eighth is going to be Steven Stippy, possibly the favorite here coming into tonight. Ninth is going to be Michael Yarrow, and rounding out that top 10, it's going to be Dave Bush.
13 and 11th going to be Nicholas Ludi, as well as watching that of Robbie Darnella in 12th. Then you got that of Mark Choswick going to be in that of 13th. Probably one of our other underdog drivers to watch out for, with that of Kyle Heath going to be in that of 14th, with Brian Bartlett going to be in 15th position. Larry Blair going to be in 16th. But our biggest underdog going to be Mike Chamberlain back in 17th position, with that of Clifton Ashley, Paul Cohen, Jason Adams, and as well that of Robert Chiswick.
Great starting grid there tonight. There, as you see the starting grid, we got 146 laps, no stages, 0 fast repairs, and 4 sets of tires. So only 3 sets hitting on pit road for these drivers. We're gonna have Chuck Sweeten starting up front here, Sam. I tell you, this is setting up pretty nicely here because we got some adversity. Mark Whitley, Steven Stipping, the 2 favorites, I'd say, this whole season. I mean, they've been going back and forth. I would say that's been the big talk of the town throughout the season. But, man, they're starting back in that 5th and 8th position. Didn't have the greatest qualifying here. We're going to have to see what they can do here in this race to put themselves farther up that grid because, how does this car perform in a pack? How is the dirty air? Is it tough to move your way through? This is all a learning experience, I think, here tonight.
Also, I think another big thing to watch out for that was a big talking point last week at New Hampshire, tires. Tires has been something that has been talked about even last season, coming into this season with the way the old package was for this next-gen car. Zach, they've only got 3 sets in pit road for 146 laps. I think that's going to be another thing for us to watch with this new update on. Is it going to be tight in, loose off, where the tires are going to get really brutalized here in the early going, and they're going to have to worry about their tire percentage? We'll have to keep our eyes out on that.
Yeah, I tell you, I did myself some testing this week with this next-gen car. Tire wear is going to be very, very critical. And like you said, 4 sets of tires, only 3 sitting in pit road. They're not going to have a minute to spare here tonight. It's going to be use what you brung, and they're going to have to get the most out of them here. Man, I got to tell you what, thank you to everyone who's tuned in this season. It's been a fantastic one, man. We cannot wait to close out season 11 here at Sim Racing's Unleashed Cup Series. We started with this next-gen car. We were talking about how it was the future. Well, it's quickly driven into the present, and it will be what we're seeing here for the remainder of our time here, mostly with these cup cars. So, man, I cannot wait to see what kind of racing we get here. As excitement is in the air, pace car pulls off. We're going championship racing here. Green flag is in the air, and Chuck Sweeting is off and away. Look at the tires spinning, the horsepower of these race cars. Great start here from Cedric Hunter, though, as he charges with a nose ahead to the lead.
Cedric Hunter had the lead and now going to be finding space to drop down low, side by side for second place. You got that of Hunter Hayward, who was very aggressive during the practice restarts. Saw him get loose a couple of times, but now able to clear up to second. But as Chuck Sweeting gets the pole position, but now finds him back in third with Mark Whitley now on his tailpipes.
Quickly, Chuck Sweeting dropping back. Mark Whitley taking advantage of it. He says, I want to get quickly to the front of the championship contenders. And there he is, nose ahead as they cross the line up till turn 1. He clears Chuck Sweeting, who's elected somewhat here to go into a little conservative strategy. Drop to the top here. He's falling backwards as the one and everybody else around him. Mike Peters trying to go forward. Man, it's just great to see this racing right around this racetrack.
We've seen that of Mark Whitley race aggressive in other championship races here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Just this past Monday, we had a championship race as the battling for the lead continues on. But it was Mark Whitley very aggressive during that Monday race where he was not able to get a championship. Maybe it's a little bit too aggressive, especially on the fact that we touched on tires so much already. But Isaiah Sutherland now sending it low side by side for second place. But it's Hunter Hayward taking the lead at 2.
Hayward there storming to that lead there, Sam, is now Willie is able to solidify that third. Looks like Sutherland had a big moment coming off the course. Champion involved in it. The 81ers champion here of the regular season involved in an early collision. It is motor blown. That is race over championship hopes over Stympian. Quickly ends it on lap 3 here. This is not what he wanted to see.
Isaiah Sutherland now going to be extremely low going back, but the 81, one of our favorites to win the championship, now seeing his championship hopes blown up in an instant only on lap number 3. And up front, it's still Hunter Hayward. We stay green with Mark Whitley now up to second, side by side for the lead. It's a 77.
Going for the lead. You know, Mark Whitley cannot let what just happened cloud his mind. He cannot think this is over. He's got to think about the other 4 contenders who all have a chance still in this race. Even though one of them has got knocked out now, it's still going to be a tough one as he's battling with the teammates there of Steven Stympian, with Hunter Hayward there. Man, what a breakthrough for Steven Stympian as he is still sitting there on pit road. That was just a simple mistake as we see the front battling continue.
I mean, it was just trying to get aggressive and just trying to, make some big moves, but all in an instant gets up into the outside wall, was trying to get a better entry, and because of just brushing the outside wall for one moment, the 81 night is done. He is gone from the server. Steven Stympian, this was not how he wanted this season to end for himself.
This is so heartbreaking. This has got to be one of the most heartbreaking, ways to play out for a season. Just how dominant he was, along with Mark Whitley, and even the season before. I know he kicks himself because it was a full point championship season. Man, what a tough break is. Oh, Hunter Hayward loose there as Mark Whitley definitely did not was trying to hold that line there on the top side and did not want to see Hunter Hayward come up into him. Luckily, Hayward saves it. But man, this is just showing this car here, you can move all around right here. They're looking to find grip, and the racing is wild as they're losing the rears here off of turn 2.
It's not as close as pack racing as we saw throughout most of the season at mile-and-a-half racetracks, but they're still close. Around round 5 to lap 10 was around the window I was watching during the practice. Just like 15 to 20 lap stints that they were doing under practice. It was around this time that drivers were getting extremely loose out of turn 2. Watch out for Hunter Hayward. Also for that of Mark Whitley, because right now I'm getting nervous out of turn 2 for these drivers.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting nervous at that 48, and you got to think the 77's got to be thinking the same. When you got a car underneath you like that, the last thing you want to see is them get sideways, try to save it, and when those front tires grip, they go directly right into the car on the outside of them. So I think Mark Whitley's got to be breathing pretty heavily here, thinking this could quickly end his race. I mean, we see here no fast repairs, one heavy hit. It took Steven Stipien out. It could be right around the corner for any of these playoff drivers here coming in tonight with a shot for a championship. So gotta stay out of that trouble here. Man, the racing continues on with this front four. Just great action.
You also got to be thinking for Mark Whitley at this point. You could tell he is racing out here, running his gold and black scheme just for tonight's race from Harpoon Designs. And I mean, this 77, he's looking fast. He's trying to pull away, but I'm slightly nervous now. He sees one of his competitors out of this race. Do you want to back out? But you can tell he doesn't want to give any type of space between himself and Chuck Sweeting, who runs it fourth, just watching our top three battle as hard as they are.
Yeah, they're battling real hard. Everybody searched for grip, and I think Cedric Hunter might have found some as he goes in a second. He's gone up to that very, very top lane. Now, when Mark Whitley elects to try to take it away, he drops down low, trying to find the clean air on the nose. And, man, it's just showing they got options. Even behind there. Hunter Hayward, big moment for him, even with Chuck Sweeting, who had to check up for him. They both got a little bit loose there behind that. So they lost a little bit of ground to these front two, but it's just showing right here they got multiple lines to move around. But how will these tires last, Sam? I think that is the question we got to ask ourselves. So how much movement is in these race cars? You got to know that's got to be eating the tires off.
Yeah, and I think for Chuck Sweeting, he's a little slightly concerned with that checkup that Hunter Hayward did that last lap. Had to force the 75 to back off, give some more space. Who's still right on board with the 11. I mean, when we're checking out where all the drivers are, where they're running right now, give them a little bit of space. I like this call from the 75, kind of was forced into it, but you could tell he wants to get by Hunter Hayward, force the issues. We look at some of the other drivers further back. You got that of Michael Yarrow, who runs in 7th place. Just in front of him, another one of our championship 6. It's that of Brad Delph in the 14, just running in 6th place. I mean, really, this is the safest place to be for the 14, and this is kind of how he has survived most of this season, being under the radar and just being in the prime spot to pounce when it's needed at the end.
We've seen how fast it can all go away in a blink of a light there. And Brad Delph sitting in a great spot here running 6th. And like you said, this is kind of where he's ran all season. He's been anywhere from that 4th back to that 7th position personally in that zone there. He's been a really strong, car there in that top 5 area. So just continuing that trend there of that. But he's having a great race here right around Mike Peters, who, gotta say, he's having a great race here at the end of the season for himself. Maybe trending well for himself, because you got to think they're going to be going into another season here at SRU with this very in fact same car. So all this right here, this update right here, is going to be very similar to what we're driving the rest of the time. These guys are definitely saying, man, this is going to size up to how possibly my next season will play out.
Oh, absolutely. And up front, Cedric Hunter able to make the pass for the lead. Mark Whitley's now going to be closing in as it's now, as we move up front to our leaders, it's side by side racing for the lead and also for 3rd place.
Yeah, they all got stacked up there, Sam, very quickly there as they were side by side with the lead there. But look at this Chuck Sweeting. He says he got by Hayward somehow and all that. And now trying to go around the 77 of Whitley. This is looking bright for the 75, who started on pole, dropped back early. Did he conserve the tires enough? Because now he's in championship position.
I mean, he's just found another gear as here comes the 75, ducking it low. Going to be sending it to the inside. Mark Whitley, you can kind of tell he's been running on the low end so much. Those tires might be just burned off too much for himself, or deciding to back off, give himself a couple of laps, and then make the surge. But for the lead, here comes the 75, Chuck Sweeting under the 11 of Cedric Hunter.
What a drive for the 75. I had that hunch, man. You just get those feelings sometimes with certain drivers. You know when a package will work well for him is he got a little bit loose there, had to drop back a little bit, but I just had that feeling. This guy was always super good in my past history of racing with him in a race car that drove like this. So, man, I'm not surprised to see him doing well, but look at this. Very conservative. That's another thing you'll notice by the 75. He won't take many risks. He is going to go out there and, take the least amount of risks. But while all that played out, look who's all drove into the picture, Sam. It's Mike Peters, Brad Delph, and Michael Yarrow. This whole field is stacking up. Cedric Hunter, big loose.
It's very loose at turn 2, and you can just tell the drivers that, like Mike Peters, Delph, and Yarrow, who went patient on this run, their tires starting to kick in. We're 17 laps in, and this is when we start to see those drivers that were patient, letting the long run come to them. They're now closing up to our front 4 that are still right on top of one another. Cedric back to 3rd, and it's Hunter Hayward back to the lead.
This is wild stuff to see. This car putting on a show, just changing hands of the lead here so far in Atlanta. And now the drivers who have definitely been patient, like you said, it's paying off for them. They're driving up here to the back bumper of this lead group who's really struggling with the rear tires. This is showing this car has got the potential. You can save tires and possibly drive up into positions. Man, the strategy's galore. I definitely, I gotta say, I got a big smile on my face with how so far these first 19 laps have went here in Atlanta.
It just makes it exciting to watch from up in the booth because you can tell the drivers now have the complete control in their hands on how they want to run. In the previous package, when we come to these mile-and-a-half tracks, you are forced to be full throttle, stay in the pack. If you lose the draft, you're not going to have a chance to race, but you now have options, and this is where we're seeing it as we ride on board the 14 of Delph. You can see now the 95 by Peters right on the back bumper of Chuck Sweeting, battling for this fourth place position when they were about a second back just 5 laps ago.
This is amazing to see here. Sam, look at this as we ride on board with Delph. You can see the different lanes. Everybody, even he's got Michael Yara right behind him. He's up against the fifth. So everybody here trying to find a little bit of grip here on this racetrack, trying to go forward. And man, Mike Peters, you know, it's got to feel good for a few of these guys. Ooh, so close to the wall. A few of these guys, they're trying to test the Kyle Larson line out. But you know, Mike Peters has got to feel well about how well he's ran here tonight so far. This is a great run for a group of guys who probably, this puts a smile on their face. Like I said, this is something that could allude for the future for a few of them. So man, when you have a good run like this right here bodes well.
I mean, this stint was so important for a lot of these drivers. Get a test of what the dirty air is going to be like when you're in a racing kind of condition. I mean, Zach, this update just came out. So these drivers are getting that first taste. And now battling for the lead, it's Mark Whitley once again down to the white line. And now on these older tires, you can kind of tell drivers are feeling a little bit more, feeling like they can make some aggressive moves if you've been setting back and waiting. And now Cedric Hunter to the outside, almost thinking about 3 wide into 1.
That was such a big run, and he's going to think about it here. He's possibly going to put it to the quarter panel, decides better of it, as he possibly had the run to do it. Just I think he might have decided to back out of that. That's going to let him slide back up to second. But, man, he had such a big run off of 4 there that he came from at least 5-6 car lengths back and almost made it 3 wide between the top 2 contenders.
10 laps ago, our first all the way back to 7th position. We're about 2.5 seconds away from one another. Now, first back to 7th, just within a second of one another. It is close, hard racing in just the first 23 laps. Zach, we've already seen one of our championship contenders out. That is Steven Stympian in just our first 5 laps of the race. But up front, we now have our 2 of our championship contenders right on top of one another.
Yeah, and Brad Delph is driven right up into the picture, too. They're right in the mix with that 14, so that adds 3 of them right in the mix. One of them is out, unfortunately, Steven Stympian, but right now, Mark Koschik back in 13th, along with Mike Chamberlain back in 14th, so those 2 still kind of drop back here about 7 to 9 seconds back from the lead, but man, Mike Peters showing strength here on the bottom, really rolling it, trying to go forward. And Cedric Hunter tried to make the lead for the battle for the lead. He slides back to 3rd now with Whitley getting past him on the outside.
Update for drivers further back. I don't know what happened, but the 53, I'm trying to check to see what happened to himself, but a unscheduled pit stop for that of Dave Bush, who was in pit road and waiting to see if he's going to be either exiting out of the race or just taking a strategy call for himself as he's getting service done for the 53 machine.
Oh, Chuck Sweeting got a little bit of a help touch from the 14 of Brad Delph. Man, I don't know how he said that. He needs the good hands award right now because he was sideways from corner entry. He got help from corner entry almost all the way to exit there. I don't know how Chuck Sweeting just said that. That was a work of art. It's kind of separated the field a little bit here now as the pack has strung out, but great save there from Chuck because that could have been lights out there for him.
Well, that's 1 position down for that of Brad Delph. Now going to be moving up to 4th and just picking and choosing one driver after another, just showing the patience. And if anything, for these drivers, this first stint, like I was going to note on it just a couple of laps ago, you can take major notes on what the tire wear is going to be like when you come to pit road here, expecting these drivers to come in around lap 45 to 50 should be their window to be coming to pit road. But this is going to get some good information. Did I overcook those tires? Can I be a little bit more patient for the long run? As right now, Hunter Hayward, Mark Whitley still on top of one another, and Cedric Hunter's waiting, and also behind them, some side-by-side racing. Chuck Sweeting trying to get by that of Mike Peters. spins. Chuck possibly there. Chuck Sweeting. I mean, that Chuck Sweeting goes down into the inside wall. Damage for the 75. I gotta take a different look from my perspective, but it was very close between that of the 95 and the 75.
Oh no, Chuck Sweeting there involved in that there, and that was such heavy collision. He had the major run off the top there. Peters was coming up the racetrack. Sweeting was, pretty far off the wall on the near the exit there, but man, I don't know if Chuck got a little bit loose. It was trying to bring him down a little bit, but man, Peters comes up on the track a little bit, and that is looks like race over for the 75 Chuck Sweeting. Yeah, he puts it behind the wall, and that is 2 contenders out right now. Looks like Brad Delph, Mark Whitley in the top 2 with Koscheck and Chamberlain still out there.
Chuck's went back, rewatched. Looked like Mike Peters got a little loose, drifted up trying to save it, made contact with the rear quarter panel of the 75, and now Chuck Sweeting's night is done. Leaving us, well, now we start out with 6, Zach. We're now down to just 4 championship drivers here in less than 30 laps.
Well, I tell you what, this has just shown me 29 laps here. Oh, and big moment. I think that was another one of the contenders there. That might have been Mike Chamberlain. It was. I think he saved it, though. He somehow gave it out of the inside wall in that 70 machine back here in 14th. But it's just showing these first 30 laps here in this car. This thing's tough to drive, man. You can get very easily into an incident, and it's shown. We entered into the unknown of what tonight was, and right now it's showing this car will bite you at any moment.
Well, the first 15 laps, drivers were feeling that loose sensation. Well, just a couple of 15 laps again. Another cycle of loose sensation is now kicking in for these drivers. Up front, top 3, all within 3/10 of one another. As you see, that of Mark Whitley diving it to the outside again, and now closing in once more. It's that of Delph and Yarrow closing in and making it a 5-horse race again.
Yeah, man, this battle has not stopped one bit at all. You see Yarrow ripping the fence, Delph right back there in 4th. Whitley's been attacking the back bumper of this 48, who's been trying to hold on to the lead. It's been pretty much a straight 30 laps of just action-packed racing here, and it's just been magnificent to watch. You see Whitley get a little loose. Look at the run Cedric Hunter gets. When they get side by side like that, that run that third car gets is wicked. But you got to be thinking, if you're Mark Whitley, you got Brad Delph here. You know that now Chuck Sweeting and Steven Stipp here now this. He's probably taking, I would say, a lot less risk than he probably normally would here in a race, knowing that, hey, man, 2 of my contenders are already out of this there. We got Brad Delph right here. If I can stay in contention to the end, as we've already shown, it's easily to get knocked out of this race. I think the best way to play it here is safe.
Another driver going to be calling it a night. The 6 of Robert Chiswick going to be calling it a night for himself. That's another driver into pit road. Dave Bush still in pit road. We're left with 15 drivers still out on track, but our top 5 making it a show as all 3 lanes, almost all 4 lanes being utilized through these corners.
Yeah, literally everywhere you could possibly go for grip, they're using it at the moment. Michael Yarrow is the one guy I'm seeing really use the top lane. He is just committed right to the top seam and just has not left it, and it's starting to make lap time here for him. He's really starting to pull up into this gap here. He got past Delph there. We'll see now as Whitley and Cedric Hunter there, as they go up top now. They see, when you see a driver coming from behind there in the mirror up top, your next usual decision once they're a car length back, you usually go right to take their line. So not surprised to see that. Is, man, yeah, big runs off the top there. I think this track is showing some interesting characteristics. You can get a run on the bottom, it seems like, if you're the leader, but if you're back here in 2nd or 3rd, 4th, you really need to defend here if you're up top.
I mean, just gotta love this Atlanta course, soon to be seeing oh my goodness, they're so close to each other out through these corners. But I gotta say, it's fun watching this Atlanta course. But Zach, we know that the new repaved, more banking, the faster expected Atlanta is soon to come at some point in the future here at iRacing and for NASCAR itself. I'm interested. A lot of leagues are going to want to transition to that, but we're seeing some great racing here on the old Atlanta.
Yeah, I tell you what, that's a great point, Sam. This car will never really even get to see this surface at all, technically. Most leagues will have moved over to the new Atlanta surface that we expect here in the next few weeks to be coming to iRacing. I tell you, that's going to throw a whole different loop into this racing. I believe we'll have a different package there, too, at least for what NASCAR tested the last time they were there. So I know they're still working out a few kinks with that, but, man, this old track era, it's put on a show with this future car, man. It's showing that this is the right direction here, I believe, and we're having some great racing to start it off, man. It's just been a grueling start to this here for the first 37 laps. These drivers really had to work for it.
Top 5 all within almost a half a second of one another. I like that Delph is just riding where he is right now. Some other drivers, that Jason Adams, and also this battle that's currently going on for 9th place. Southern losing ground as he's now got the 33 to his inside. Mark's making some slow chips ahead. I'm liking what the 33 is doing as well for the other playoff, the other championship contender, the 70 of Mike Chamberlain. Just because they're back here, not really challenging, and they're more conserving, if anything, this could be a championship winning move, especially with how these front runners, kind of our favorites, Chuck Sweeting, Steven Stippian, I would say we're one of our top 3 championship contenders that we were expecting to win the championship. And now they're all the way back here watching each championship contender kind of falling out of this race quickly.
No, and I mean, even with Mark Willie there in 3rd and Brad Delph in 5th, one incident happens up there with those two, you're right in position if you're Mark Koshik. So definitely, I mean, just done a great race so far, driven very quietly up into the top 10, and not too far here from Byron Barlett from being in that top 8. It'll be about another 5 seconds up the road to Kyle Heath. But I tell you what, man, nonetheless, Mark Koshik, just a great drive for him in that 33 is. We look up to the battle now. Kyle Heath has caught up to Mike Peters. It was kind of no man's land there for a little bit for Kyle Heath, but now he's got the 95 there. Peters, who's dropped back off that lead pack after making contact with Chuck Sweeting. So, yeah, nice little battle here for that 6th position.
Just showing just still the aerodynamics so important in these cars, as with Peters making the contact, losing the draft, and having just slight damage on that front right quarter panel. Got to be thinking for the 95. He's got to be hoping to get either a caution or come in and get repairs done. But that's another thing that we haven't brought up is the fact that we have not, yes, there's been multiple drivers out of this race. Some major wrecks have happened, but they were not bringing out yellows. We have not seen a yellow just yet in these first 41 laps. And that's because all the wrecks have been off the racing surface and on the apron, or the drivers are staying straight. So we're watching the battling for the 6th place position. The 3 of Heath looking good for himself coming out of the corner, but gotta be careful not to get too loose out of the corner.
Yeah, and it's tough. You can see there, look at the back end of that Mustang GT there, wiggle off the exit too. He's going to lose the ground, and Peters is going to hold on to that position, and it just shows that top line. Very easy to defend up there. They get a little more stability. They feel like they have less wheel, which makes the car less prone to snap, and here comes Heath, though. Big run off the top. We'll see if he can do something with that. Not going to be close enough, I believe, here as they go back down to 1 here for lap 42, but man, it's been a grueling race. I guess you could also call it somewhat of a ButtKicker race. So we might as well give a shout out to our long time sponsor here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting of ButtKicker. Make sure you guys head on over to their website at ButtKicker.com. There, as you can check out many of their various products that it has, such as the Gamer 2 that can definitely help immerse yourself into a game such as iRacing, many other different things, FPS games, many other sims. So definitely go out there and check ButtKicker out at ButtKicker.com, and you can feel what you've been missing. And you can use our discount code FreakyFast20 to get 20% off. So make sure you head on over there and use that code, and you could get yourself more immersed into your simulator.
Honestly, I would get a ButtKicker right now, just with this racing that we're seeing, because it might be extremely important to hear and feel when that car is getting loose or you're using too much tire. So make sure you go use that promo code, get in your Gamer 2. Mark Whitley still hounding at the 48 of Hunter Hayward, but I think that's another thing that we haven't touched on, but is good to take note of. Hunter Hayward's been able to just hold off for these past 15 laps. He's gotten the lead, has just been placing that rear bumper, blocking wherever Mark Whitley goes on the entry of these corners, and making it very hard for the 77 to get any big run to make the pass for the lead. That's going to be something to watch out for if we get into a longer run later on, because we saw there in those first 15 laps, it was just slicing and dicing. You didn't know who was going to have the lead with some of the moves that were being made.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's been impressive to see that Hayward is just, like you said, kind of got out here and held on to his big time loose for Cedric Hunter. I mean, Hello Kitty was waving at the field there as he came out in 2, man. That was a big moment for him there as he saves it. And here on lap 45, I mean, Hayward's been able to hold it off to this point. you got to think pit stops, like we said, around this lap 50 marker here is probably when some of these drivers are going to be elected to come down. If you're Cedric Hunter, he's probably wanting to come as soon as possible with how big a moment that was. We see Jason Adams there on the access road. He must have come from pit road as Whitley still hounding for that lead. We're near those pit stops, though.
Yeah, Jason Adams has hard damage as well on that 24 machine after coming into pit road. He had gotten this damage progressively throughout this run. We're going to be the first driver to hit pit road, so we'll see what the extreme tires and time difference is, because right now our leaders, they're running about a second, almost a second and a half slower than what their best times are, which is kind of, yes, we're seeing a lot of slipping and sliding, but I honestly would think that we would see a much bigger drop off from the times just based on the tire wear that we were expecting to see here tonight, but only about 1.2 seconds off of their best times. Not too bad, as Mark Whitley able to throw it down and go for the lead.
Yeah, Mark Whitley there charging. He might clear off the exit. He looks like he does. Great job in the 77 here right before our pit sequence to get to the lead. Yarrow was definitely closing in there and getting in that 90-80 as he charged back up through. But yeah, that, you know, Sam, that's kind of coming off guard too, the fall off. You know, I would have expected more. It could be coming down to our weather here tonight. I mean, it's mostly cloudy here with 81 degrees, you know, on the air temp, and a 93-degree track temp. So it's pretty cool out there, and a lot of cloud cover. So possibly that's what's helping keep these tires in. And it seems like the track's rubbered in pretty well here. So yeah, tires are not falling off as far as I would expect.
They are not, but Michael Yarrow, as you saw right on the back bumper of Mark Whitley, you see him, he is just hugging that outside line. He is not changed really ever since about lap 20. He has stayed on that higher groove and continuing on, and I gotta say for the 98, maybe didn't have the qualifying run that we were expecting him to have, but certainly the long run pace for Michael Yarrow is kicking in as he's now up to second and slowly chipping away at that of Mark Whitley's lead.
Yeah, he definitely is chipping away here. I think the closer he gets to cleaner air, the quicker he's been getting. So Yarrow has slowly been clicking off. But, you know, we talk about tire fall off. Well, right behind him here, you're going to see there's going to be a 24 car, Jason Adams, here coming into the picture here within the next lap or so. That's on some new tires. He will quickly be going by these guys. Oh, he bounces off the wall, same spot that Steven Stippian did.
Yeah, and honestly, that whole entire right side of the 24 has been brutalized. He's tapped that outside wall multiple times on these entry and as well on exit. Even with 4 fresh tires, you see the scratching and scrub marks on the 24. Got to be careful as, yes, oh boy, he's loose. Hold on. There goes Adams holding on for himself, but that was a very scary moment, especially with the drivers he was around.
Oh, that was a huge moment, Sam. That could have been detrimental for a few of those guys' races here as, man, Yarrow took a big stab to the inside, couldn't make it stick there. Now goes back to the bottom. Whitley covers that up, but Cedric Hunter takes it up to the top to get the run. Man, it's showing that, you know, this is definitely some interesting racing. It's almost like you can't get away, but you have a little bit more wiggle room to do stuff. So, you know, that draft, I think, playing a factor to this racing, but man, it's definitely wild to see Yarrow big loose. He's going to back out of there, and I think he's going to try to slot back into third here.
Trying to find a little bit of open space, might even let Hunter Hayward go on by on the outside as Yarrow tries to pick up his tone and start moving. But I mean, yeah, that's what this new setup is doing. Yes, there's a lot of the draft still important. It's keeping our front runners close, but not keeping as many drivers. It used to feel like the whole entire field could stay with one another, and then it would finally split up when it was about 10 laps before pit stops were going to happen. Here tonight, it split up in the first just 8 laps. I think the Steven Stippian incident helped in that breakup of this field, but it's shown drivers that are willing to save tires, they can come back. Drivers that are aggressive, they can stay up front, but you got to be playing a nice balance of not overusing, not overstepping your bounds as more drivers into pit road. And we've also seen one of our championship contenders, Mike Chamberlain, has come in just about a lap ago.
Yeah, Mike Chamberlain just came in about that lap ago, leaving on the access road. He's got major damage to the right side of that car also, just like Jason Adams had, so must have gotten to the wall at some point there. And I think I actually had a car almost spin there off of 2 coming off there as they get it back saved. I believe that might have been Nicholas Lolby, so great save there by him. But man, Definitely some guys taking chances here to come down. Right now, still Mark Koshik not yet to pit either of the other two contenders of Brad Delph and Mark Whitley.
Still has not come in. We're waiting for our top 9 still to come into pit road as we continue to watch the battle for the lead, which has not calmed down since lap 1. It has been constant action on top of one another. And right now, Cedric Hunter going to be riding that outer groove. And Mark Whitley, all he needs to do is just block the entry of the corner. And really, everyone else seems to just not have an opportunity to make a pass. I think if anything, you cannot show where you're going to be making or entering the corner until the very last moment if you're going to want to try to make a pass for the lead, or the leader's going to have to make a giant mistake as you see more drivers on the apron getting past by our leaders.
Yeah, it's almost interesting. It seems like you had Hunter Hayward there lead. He made the move, held onto it for a while. Mark Whitley gets by him. Whitley's able to hold on to the grasses. Oh, I think Cedric Hunter up into the wall in 3 and 4 just got a little bit too much of it. Was trying to rim ride there. He gets into the wall, and from what we've seen from this car before, it was very detrimental to get into that wall. So we'll have to see if that comes back to affect him. But doesn't look too bad. Just looks like a little bit of a scrape and a bump on that right front. So, in the past, that would have been a really bad thing. We'll have to see how much it affects this car now.
I mean, you can tell just after tapping the wall, it goes straight down to the white line. Cedric Hunter does not want to mess with the wall anymore. He tempted fate too much, and now into pit road is going to be the 11, which I think is a very good call, but overlocks it hard on the brakes. It might have gotten caught speeding with that aggression.
Yeah, that is a big time speeding right there. That's a 40-second hold in the pits there. And that is going to be probably a big amount to come back from. He's going to need some type of yellow in this race to help him out there. So Cedric Hunter right there running such a good race. It just shows you coming down the pit road, you're not safe either there. So these other drivers, if they notice that happen, Sam, they got to know it's very easy to aggressively end up in that pit road getting held 40 seconds for a penalty.
And right now our leader's a little bit concerned. The 9 of Barlett just trying to find any place to make a pass, and finally getting the speed through the corner. Almost ran over Mark Whitley, backed out, and now going to be clear of our leaders. Very scary situation just a lap ago. But given an opening now for that of Hunter Hayward, he's now going to be still on the back bumper. But we still are waiting for our top 8 all to come into pit road. This is going to be a very important time. When do you come in? And also, to come in sooner or later and have that slight tire advantage, because we haven't seen that major of a drop off just yet. So it might not be too bad to just be, a couple of laps off, staying out there a little bit later.
Yeah, we'll have to see how the strategies all play out here as pit road continues to be circulated through by a few of these drivers here after we have come by the complete lap 60 here of 146. We'll head to a quick commercial break here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting as we'll watch here side by side. If anybody else comes down the pit road, we'll be back here in the next few moments. And we are back here for the Sim Racing Unleashed Championship finale here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. As we just come back from our commercial break, pit stops have ensued, and it's definitely shooken up this field and built some gaps up, Sam. This is going to be interesting to see how this all plays out, but thank you, ladies and gentlemen, all tuning in here tonight. I am Zach Owen, joined alongside me is Sam Dyer. But Sam, back to the action on the track, man. It's all cycle through for pit stops now. Some gaps have been built up due to the different sequences. Let's see which one prevails.
Yeah, we've seen multiple of our championship contenders have issues here tonight. Two are officially out. Steven Stympian on lap 4, and then also Chuck Sweeting, just about 20 laps into this race, was involved in another wreck that took him out of this race. But there's been a couple of other championship drivers that have found some issues. That of Brad Delph has gotten into the outside wall right before coming into pit road, and the 14 is heavily damaged, making it half of our field really in a dangerous spot, which now kind of gives the power to Mark Whitley, who is the furthest ahead of our championship 6. And now got to give also for that of Mark Koscheck as well as Mike Chamberlain. Those 3 drivers, they're feeling pretty good. And I got to say, for the 33, he might be in the best spot just in case we see the 77 catch some issues. Oh, yellow throws out.
Brad Delph, major wreck. The whole front was going. Byron Barlett involved in that. Major wreck here. Oh no, that is not what you want to see. And oh man, just like he lost it into one, guys. We'll have to see exactly how that all played out. But man, that is unfortunate for one of our championship contenders. Our championship contenders continue to follow this race. As we go back to the Freaky Fast replay here, you're going to see it. The rear end just snaps on him on entry. He tries to catch it. There you can see the car starting to single out. But as he catches it, it steps out once more. Man, that was a interesting moment there as it hooks right. Big collision. Then you're going to see the 9 of Byron Barlett here. Nowhere for him to go as the 14s here are going to slide down the banking. And Sam, man, this is in a night of championship contenders, just one after another, having major issues.
And I got to thank for that of Hunter Hayward, Mark Whitley, Yaros. There's the collision again. And I got to think for those drivers, they don't want to see everyone close in again. You're seeing the fact that drivers have been getting loose on their own, and now you're going to be putting these drivers packed up again. This is going to be a dangerous restart for these drivers. They just came into pit road. Might see some drivers decide to top off. They cannot make it from here to the end of the race, so there still is one more pit stop to go, but the question of who wants to come in and maybe top off with fuel might be the big question, but that is now a third of our championship drivers. I mean, the 14 already had major damage, but that is certainly finishing off his dues here after pit cycle's done.
Season over for Brad Delph. On to the next one there for season 12 at SRU. Man, that is a heavy collision, and he, like you said, he had that damage. He drove all the way up there, got the damage, started to fall back. And that just, man, it all went from, not being the greatest anymore to being really worse for him. So just a terrible night there for the 14, who was right there in contention all the way up to that point for the championship. But now Mark Koscheck, he's going to like to see that yellow. And same with Mike Chamberlain. That's going to bring them back up here closer to the 77 of Mark Whitley, who elects to stay out here. Because you got to remember, we only have 3 sets of tires there on pit road. They've already took a 1 set, so they're going to have 2 left here. And like you said, this is right outside the window to make it on fuel. Ooh, it's a questionable call here for a few guys.
Yeah, I don't think they can make it from here, but Mike Chamberlain just came into pit road. He is taking another set of tires, so he's going to be left with just 1 more set moving forward. I like this call from the 70 machine. He was one of the earlier drivers coming to pit road, trying to get an advantage on gaining any time. Now he's going to be on the freshest of tires, and that's going to be about 5 lap fresher tires than that of our soonest pit stop drivers of like Michael Yarrow, Hunter Hayward. Is going to put in the 70 in a very good position moving forward, but also he's got a little bit of damage that he's working with that's trying to get repaired, is that of Chamberlain. So we'll see how well the 70 can take this advantage of having some better tires than the rest of the front contenders.
And they did a good job to fix that car up, man. He had a lot of damage on the right side, so they got that fixed up well on him. So put the set of tires there, also topped it off on fuel. So, again, I don't think it's possible. I don't have the exact numbers. I could actually it would possibly come up with those numbers if I crunch a few numbers for us, but it's it's got to be close. It's just gonna be right outside that window. I think if everybody feels like they could have done it, they probably would have at least come down topped off. I don't know if they put a set of tires and waste them, put them on, but I think you would have seen a few more guys top off if it was possible.
Yeah, I think if they come in right now, they're going to be about 5 to 6 laps shy from making it, and that's even with draft help. So I don't think a lot of drivers feel like they need to come in, but any advantage is going to be greatly needed here to take. I like the call from the 70, but I was looking at some of the right side damage. That is where we've seen most of the damage for the drivers, either getting loose on in the corner exit or even on the corner entry. They've been finding a very large loose sensation. Only our top 4 come in with no front damage of the drivers that are up front. There's a couple of drivers that are spires through the rest of the field, but primarily over half the field have some type of right side damage that they're going to be working on. And Zach, that is going to be hurting them a lot moving forward.
And we've seen in the past this car has really been affected by that damage, and from what we've seen so far, it does tend to hurt it pretty well already. So, yeah, a lot of guys are going to have to be dealing with that. Hopefully, the crews fix them up pretty well, and maybe they'll drive good from that standpoint. But we're going back. Green flag racing after our first caution of the night here on lap 72 of 146. It's Hunter Hayward leading us to green. Is Mark Whitley there going to be on the inside? Much fresher tire, a couple laps fresher tires there for Mark Whitley here. We'll see what he can do here as this caution might have helped bring him right up into the picture.
Side by side out of turn number 2. Hunter Hayward on the outside. Mark Whitley in the 77. Gold and black going to be falling back in line as Hunter Hayward gets into the lead, similar to what they did in the beginning portions of this race. But I think everyone's now getting that understanding. Competition's fading away after getting loose sensations and making mistakes. Maybe not as many aggressive moves this go around, Zach, as we're already seeing that Mark Whitley trying to get a little bit more space on the outside.
Yeah, Mark Whitley, they're already diving it up to the top here, trying to find the run. We look back here, it's Mike Chamberlain on the new set of tires, along with Cedric Hunter in the 11. You got the 3 of Kyle Heath up top. The Hunter coming through the middle. Oh, a little bump to the 70 there, who our championship contender. As you got to remember, Cedric Hunter, he's the first car a lap down here in the 10th position after that mistake on the pit road we've seen. He's trying to get that lap back, maybe the old-fashioned way. Or if a caution comes out because of Michael Yarrow there in the grass, he's sliding through the grass there for the 3rd position as the field comes by. Does he save it? Yes, he does. It keeps it going. But, man, if we get a caution, he'll be the first car 1 lap down, get that lucky dog. But, man, oh, man, Michael Yarrow, all that track position, all that speed he had out the window. There's a car, slides off the back straightaway.
That is going to be the 44 of Robbie Darnell. Gets into the inside wall and just stays there off the racing surface, so we stay green. But that's another driver with heavy damage, and that could be a race-ending one as we move back up and watching the drivers that are racing for this 3rd and 4th place position. You've got that of Larry Blair in the 73 that we're riding on board with, but he's got behind him. Watch out, it's going to be that of Isaiah Sutherland, and as well, Mike Chamberlain with fresh tires. Cedric is in front of him. Oh no! Everyone scoots on by. We stay green. Giant scare for Mike Chamberlain, one of our championship contenders.
I'm speechless right now, Sam. That right there stepped away from the 11 so quickly. He locked it down, trying to keep it out of the outside wall and keep it in one spot, and somehow everybody makes it through. I don't know how we didn't see a yellow flag there, and even looking at the 11, he's got bad damage on the right front, but that could have been so much worse for how bad that hit was.
Would have been collected by more damage, more drivers piling in. The driver that got the worst end of that stick and just losing time and ground, Mike Chamberlain, went from up in 5th place, now back to 7th, and went from also being within about 3 seconds of our leader, now over 6.5, almost 7 seconds back in, trying to get by that of Blair, and also Yarrow. As right now, up front, our front 2, they're checking out. They got themselves over a 3-second lead gap over Isaiah Sutherland. And the one of Sutherland, damaged, not a full song, and just puttering along right now in 3rd as it's all Hayward and Whitley up front.
Man, oh man, this has been a race of what could go wrong. So if you're Mark Whitley, I think you gotta pay attention to that. He's got to be noticing it. I mean, you got someone like Mike Chamberlain and Koshik there sitting 7th and 8th. They're just sitting there in the bushes lurking. If something happens to Whitley, they're there to take it, man. And Whitley, big slide off it too. And that's what I'm saying. this car will bite you at any moment. You gotta stay on top of it, and man, at any moment, our contenders for the championship could be flopped around. It shows you nothing's over till that checker flag flies.
We're just past halfway. Already 3 of the championship contenders are officially out of this race. 3 are still out on track. But right now, Mark Whitley's in the best position so far, up in second. But we almost saw his championship hopes snuffed out in a blink of an eye, and might be thinking about, you know what, I can back off. I don't need to get too aggressive here. I got a nice gap back, and I think if anything, it could be the fact that there's some vehicles where if you back off, you find yourself in troubles. You think of F1 cars and also LMPs. Those are built for downforce, and if you back off, you find yourself with issues. These cars, completely unknown for these drivers. It's been a learning experience throughout the week. And with the low downforce package that these drivers are having with the 670 horsepower, there's a lot of power in these cars. And as well, low downforce, it's biting these drivers on entry, center, and exit. Usually there's only one spot that you find that major issue. It is a constant focus as we're seeing our front 2 coming out of turn number 4, coming up to the start of lap 82.
I can't wait to talk to a few of these drivers here later tonight on how they navigated their way to a podium finish, because I'd tell you what, there had to be a few moments where they had to have a scare or two, because we've seen too many of those this race. As we continue to look to the field, there's Mark Koschik there, one of the other 3K championship contenders, still out here making laps, and he is in the 8th position right now. He's about a spot behind the 70 Mike Chamberlain, but gets by Larry Blair here to be only 1 position behind.
Well, looking at the times that are being placed by our front 2, Hunter Hayward, Mark Whitley, and I'm so impressed on the speed they're putting down. They've got some of the fresher tires, and Steve Blair falling back and losing another spot to the 33 of Koscheck. And I'm looking at Mike Chamberlain. Chamberlain, if he was not caught up in that incident of trying to slow down completely to not run into the 11 of Cedric Hunter, with having his just about 5 lap advantage tires, he could have been up front battling with that Hunter Hayward and Mark Whitley. He's running just slightly faster than our leaders. And gotta be feeling bad for Chamberlain, who went with the risky call, taking one of his sets of tires. He's now left with just 1 set moving forward. And that whole entire strategy backfiring. But the what-ifs have to be creeping in the mind of the 70 machine.
Well, they definitely got to be creeping in there saying, man, if that could have played out any different way, I would have been in such a better scenario. But, man, this race is not over from a yellow. We see how fast it is for one of these drivers to get involved in an instant. Brad Delphitt snapped on him in an instant, destroyed the car down in 1. That could very well play out to any one of these drivers here later. So, got to stay in it for now and just stay focused. Mike Chamberlain's still in that top 5 position. This could be, you know, one of his best runs of all the season. It could end up winning him a championship. I mean, what a story that would be, man, for Mark Koscheck and Mike Chamberlain to come out here and tame this car in the first time with this new build and update with the package. It would be a feat that would go down in the history of SRU, but we also got history with Mark Whitley, too. Can't forget about that. He could be the first 3-time champion, and not only 3-time champion, but 3-time in a row champion.
Yeah, I mean, last season, that was kind of the history mark for that of Mark Whitley, was becoming the first driver to win 2 in a row for the championships. You look back at the history, and there were a lot of, multi-time championship winners here at SRU, but making it 2 in a row, trying to make it 3 in a row, and just keep on building on that champion, on that history-making run that he has for himself. We'll see if we can continue on with that, but we're watching some of the great action back here, seeing that Jason Adams, who we saw in a moment kind of being a little bit hesitant with fresh tires, making some aggressive moves. Well, now since he's around drivers, and especially that is Cedric Hunter, trying to make sure he is up, at least trying to challenge to make sure that he moves up a position, but he's currently battling for that of 11th place, which isn't even that old boy. Cedric got to watch out for himself, gets loose into the wall, and just like that, falling back. And in a blink of an eye, like we said, Zach, issues strike whenever they can.
Yeah, that could have been major moment for all 3 of those drivers right there. I think this 11, he might be calling it a night. He's had a tough one here tonight. Just mistake after mistake has put him into not only the wall, but in trouble on pit road. That has set him way back. And when you're trying to climb your way out of out of a deficit that you put yourself in the race, but especially as tough as the car this is, it just leads to mistakes. I felt like the car, the package we had before, when you got in those bad deficits, you could drive the car, really mad and kind of make up for that and drive it harder than it needed to be run. This car, I think, when you try to make up a deficit and try to go, make that time back, it bites you. You got to drive this car the same way each every lap. And tonight, unfortunately for Cedric Hunter, it's going to be going home on the pit box. But the battle for these two up front has been wild. And what's crazy is Hunter Hayward also had the 1 lap less fresh tires, so he did a good job of that pit sequence to really gap Mark Whitley. But ever since they got that caution and got it all back together, that 1 lap has not played a difference here in holding off this lead.
No, it really hasn't. Again, more so of kind of putting your back bumper and wherever the driver behind you front bumper goes, and you can really utilize that dirty air to just force the driver to really not be able to get the speed that they want on the exit of the corner. The entry seems to be a lot more important than the exit, as we've been watching these drivers here tonight and watching at the speeds this last time by front two running almost identical times. A little bit faster was that of Hunter Hayward keeping the lead, but it's the driver back in third, that of Michael Yarrow, running pretty similar to our leaders, but just slightly faster, trying to chip away at a monster gap between our front two back to third.
A big gap there, but you got to remember he had that big slide, went through the grass, kind of went all the way from that third position all the way back to the tail end of the longest line, pretty much, and he's driven his way back up here, and he's had such good long run pace. Michael Yara, not a championship contender. He's a driver, man. You could have bet money that he would have been here in the final 6 just with how good his pace is each and every week. But it always seems like something comes around the end just to bite Michael Yara. He personally should have had at least maybe 2 wins this season. It just hasn't went that way with how it's played out. It just seems like something always comes up to get him. And man, tonight here, he's done a good job to rebound from that mistake here. If we get another caution, or if he can just bring the crazy amount of pace that we've seen with his long runs here, he could drive himself back up into this picture. It's just going to matter how does the strategy play out, because these guys got one more pit stop looming.
Well, the 70 machine, we talked about how his tire advantage could have kept him up front. Well, more issues have now struck in the 70 machine in the center of the corner just about 2 laps ago, brushed the outside wall, and now going to be dealing with more damage, and soon to be losing potentially another position to another championship contender as Mark Kostick trying to figure out where to get by the 70 machine, and starting to tell that damage hindering the 7 as he's losing more and more speed on these straightaways.
Yeah, that definitely hurt the car there. That damage is going to be a major issue, but gotta send a shout out to Mark Kostick. He's about to be driving up to the back bumper of that 70 here, and if he gets that, he'll be second place here in the standings if that was the play out. I mean, he's the longest standing SRU driver here. He's had the most starts in Cups history, and it shows. This package looms back to the days when he used to race a very similar package to this, very similar ways of driving it. So I'm not surprised to see him definitely, having such a great run here in this type of style racing. So good to see it. And, Mark Kostick's got to be having a good time here tonight.
And as we're talking about some of the other playoff championship contenders up front, Mark Whitley powering through on the outside, able to make the pass over the 48 of Hunter Hayward. And we've now got to that realm of the middle to outer groove. Seems to be the fastest part around this track. And Mark Whitley was just waiting for it to finally click.
Yeah, what a power move. I went back and watched that there, Sam. That's what you call getting to the outside and driving by your other competitor. We'll see Hayward. Look at him. He comes right back at him here off the exit of 2. Gets a little loose, has to slot back in. It's not over between these two. Definitely is. He slots again back to the bottom. This is some great racing between these two here tonight. The thing is, the 48's got nothing to lose here. This is for the race win for the 48. He's got nothing else to worry about. If he gets second, it doesn't even matter. But for Mark Whitley, he's got a championship to think about. How much risk is he willing to take here to battle for the win coming down to the late laps here? I know right now it's a smart time. He knows Hayward's not going to do anything, incredibly dumb here or try to do something that could possibly take him out. So I think right now he's willing to battle. But when it gets down to the crunch laps and they're side by side like this, if it is, is he willing to back out, give up the win to hold on the championship, or does he want to go out on top?
I mean, these two have been battling this hard. I mean, you got to be thinking for last season, it was really between Hunter Hayward, Mark Whitley. For the first half of the season, before Steven Stipien really found his groove in the later half and was able to then tie both these drivers for most wins for the longest moment. But, I mean, for Hunter Hayward, Mark Whitley, they've done this so many times. And for Hunter Hayward, he's been running this aggressive on the entry of the corners all race long. He was doing it earlier with Cedric Hunter, who is now officially out of the race for the 11 machine. And so since he's gotten that practice, repetitions of getting right next to a driver in the entry of these corners, has the confidence to continue to fight back. And like we just saw there, able to get back to the lead as Mark Whitley lingers and waits. As us as well, we linger and wait on when the drivers are going to debate on coming into pit road, because we're getting close to the halfway stint of this, where some drivers might think about coming into pit road here in the next 10 to 15 laps.
Yeah, that very well could be happening here at some point. I mean, it's looming, that's for sure. You know, the strategies have got to be clicking off in the brains. You know, I'm thinking it's probably about that 110, maybe even 106 there to hit it exactly at 40 lap mark. You know, that's going to be some area I think these drivers look to go as we're looking back at Koscheck and Chamberlain there, along with Larry Blair, battle for the 6th, 7th, and 8th position. That 33 there, he's continuously trying to get up to the 70. Got to remember that 70 is used a set of tires extra. But if it's only a one stop to the end, he's got one set left. That's if it plays out, it's going to work out well for him. But man, Koscheck, big run down the back straightaway. And again, our leaders up front, they continue to battle as Whitley gets back to the inside of Hayward. You know, this is racing all over the place.
Oh, it certainly is. And we've already seen some other drivers that we kind of consider as drivers that we're going to be able to hold on and hang on to these cars. And we saw Stipien have issues, his race being done. Cedric Hunter, we've seen have very consistent runs this season. And as well, Chuck Sweeting, who kind of, with the style of these cars, we thought was going to be the heavy favorite now out of this race. You never know. So one of these front drivers, or even the drivers further back in the field, could have a race-ending incident in a blink of an eye. But we are past lap 100. We're coming closer and closer to the final time that we're going to be seeing these pit stops for these drivers. Crazy to think, we're down to just 11 drivers on track that are still alive out of the 19 that started.
Yeah, man, this has been a race of attrition. This race, if you didn't come prepared tonight for a race that you're gonna have to work your butt off and really have to stay focused, this was not the race to come to tonight. So some of these drivers definitely were probably caught off guard by how tough this is. But man, these drivers that are still out there making these laps have really prevailed here tonight, and it's shown well as again this battle continuing on. Larry Blair running that inside line, Koscheck runs the outside line. It just stacks up once more as right now this is the closest battle going on around the racetrack other than our battle for the lead.
Keeping it close, keeping the action, keeping on. And, we talked about, I wrote a bunch of notes going to be talking about Stipien and Chuck Sweeting, and also that of Delph. I mean, all three of those drivers had great runs coming up to this season. No, it wasn't the way they wanted their season to come here, but as we're watching 33, Koscheck, Koscheck had a decent season for himself. Comes in with only one top 5 this season, trying to go for his second one, and has a total of 6 top 10s. No wins for himself in the 33, but that consistency in the top 10s is what got the 33 to this championship run for a chance for a championship. Contact translators! Mark Whitley's in the wall! Oh, this is bringing out a yellow!
And his front is destroyed. They wrecked for the lead. What? This is exactly what I was talking about, Sam. They're racing so hard. This is crazy. This is playoff implications if we ever wanted to talk about them. And I don't know. That's a big oof moment there for that caution, guys. We're going to go back here on this and replay and see how it played out, because looking at that, did Hayward looks like he just came up the racetrack. I mean, the 77's coming down too, but such hard racing, keeping them tied up against the wall. These two get into it, and this is wow. Mark Koscheck and Mike Chamberlain have to be sitting there saying, I have a chance for a championship right now.
These one race for championship runs, they might come controversial on who should really win the championship, but it's the way the system works out. And the two biggest underdogs now are racing for their first championship. We got the driver that came in as the biggest underdog of Mike Chamberlain, who had never gotten a top 5 his whole entire season, now trying to go for a top 5 and possibly a championship. And we got the driver that's the most all-time starts in the Cup Series here at SRU, going for their first championship. Zach, the table has turned. They're now within the zone inside the stint to make it to the end on this pit stop. But what in the world is going on?
I don't think I've still recovered from the caution, ladies and gentlemen. This is kind of blowing the roof off the whole stadium. We'll see what kind of pace Mark Whitley has. Somehow the engine. I was very worried once that clip comes off. A lot of times you'll see that engine, go up in smoke, as they would say. So I'm surprised by that. We'll see him sit here and get the car worked on. But how much pace is going to be in that thing? And they can make it to the end here on fuel. This is just changed the whole ball game, ladies and gentlemen. If you ain't out there tuning in, this is the time to tune in, because this is just flipped this whole race upside down.
It is now down to 2 drivers that never in our minds, I think, were favorites. They weren't even in our top 2, top 3, top 4 favorites for the championship. But they are now the only 2 that can race for a championship, unless they take each other out and Mark Whitley still survives. Because with the damage that Mark Whitley has, I don't see how he can win a championship if the other 2 drivers are still driving the way that they are. But yeah, none of our championship drivers could finish out this race. We are looking at seeing a first-time winner potentially here with the drivers that are left racing on track.
Yeah, I mean, the first time winner, that is most likely going to happen this season. Now, also, Hayward's got major front end damage there. Man, this is just really changed the whole season, and it's all come down to this now, man. It's going to be Mark Kostick, Mike Chamberlain. We'll see what Mark Whitley has with the damage. We can't count him out. I mean, I've seen this guy with no front end do some crazy things before. We'll see what he can do again, as I believe he's going to bring him back down the pit road here in the 77 and get it worked on once more again. But, yeah, now Kyle Heath takes over the lead. Isaiah Sutherland there in second. You got Larry Blair in that third position. I mean, man, Sam, this has got to be nerve-wracking for Mike Chamberlain and Kostick. And think of Kostick, he had less fresh tires than Chamberlain. They were battling, and Kostick's been ahead of him for most of this race. If I'm Mark Kostick, this is my moment to take the championship. I've had the most starts in this Cup Series. I'm going out and getting it.
Trying to go out with a bang here tonight. I think, if anything, we're going to be scratching our heads and just wondering, Mark Whitley, Hunter Hayward, what were you guys doing? Because it wasn't even time to race for the end. Why are we getting so aggressive? And now, one of our heavy championship favorites that a lot of the people, even in our chat, were saying, well, this is Mark Whitley's championship. And now thrown it away and has put it in the hands of 2 drivers that we did not know were going to be here in the final 6. Came in, sneaking their way in. Mike Chamberlain, Mark Kostick, now in a spot to win a championship here in our second caution of the day. Reset, everyone's on equal footing. And now Kostick's going to have a chance to out-battle Mike Chamberlain. Zach, I just... what a race for me to get in the booth for this season, but what a race for the championship. The Next Gen update certainly has made a flair for some of the drivers that were our favorites throughout the whole entire season. They've been struggling here tonight, and now it's the drivers that went with the more conservative, hold on, we can make it as long as we're still running at the end of the race, that are going to go for a championship.
This is, well, Sam, I'm glad you could join us on this one, buddy. This is... been the definitely it's gonna be the most storied race of the season. Everybody's gonna go back and talk about this one. It's the championship finale. It's all got turned upside down. We're gonna have Kyle Heath leading us to green here, along with Isaiah Sutherland. Larry Blair's there, Mike Chamberlain and Mark Kostick there, 4th and 5th, going to be battling out. But Mark Whitley's pulled up to the back of the field also. We're going to be coming to the green flag. Barney waits here patiently as he does. A green flag is in the air. We're going to decide a championship here. Mike Chamberlain, though, right now in position in that 4th spot. Kyle Heath there down in the lead to turn 1. It's going to get crazy, ladies and gentlemen.
It's the race of the junked up cars. Every single car that's out there on track has some type of right side damage. The question is, how damaged are you, and can you run well? Running into the turn number 3, it's the 3 machine. Kyle Heath with the best runner, and it's going to be Isaiah Sutherland coming in with a head of steam for the 1. But again, the damage, that was one of the biggest things we talked about throughout the season. Everyone's got it. Who's going to survive at the end of this race, though?
Damage is the talk for sure. And I tell you what, that 77 with no front end's going a lot quicker than I was going to be imagining. He's already looking to get past Nicholas Loewe for the 8th spot there in the 77, so cannot count him out just yet. But right now, Mike Chamberlain in the 3rd spot. He is going to be held that championship spot. I think this is going to change back and forth here, ladies and gentlemen, for the next 30 laps here. This is going to get wild there. Chamberlain, a little slide off a 4. Here comes Kozchik. He knows this is the championship position. Can he get it done?
Don't know if any of our championship competitors are going to be able to finish out today's race. They might wreck everyone, wreck out either themselves or each other by the end of the night. As here comes Kozchik, going to be cutting on the back bumper of Chamberlain. Chamberlain's been willing to get very aggressive here in the early goings of this stint. It's the 33 that's been a lot more passive. But don't look back too far now. Back in 8th place, Mark Whitley's still running, so if you make any major mistake, he'll try to pounce on it.
Yeah, major mistake for sure. And what I'm seeing, though, Sam, now I'm noticing the damage is starting to kick in. It's about a 0.6 of a second deficit to our Leo Kyle Heath there for that 77 of Mark Whitley, who just doesn't have the straightaway speed. The corner speed is there, but he gets passed on each straightaways. Now, Isaiah Sutherland, he dives for the lead, trying to take that position. He wants to win. This is the thing. We got a win going on for a first time here on the Cup Series, and we got a championship for the first time here going on. This is crazy action here to close out the season, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in. If you're enjoying this action, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, everyone.
It's going to be Isaiah Sutherland who qualified up in 3rd. Best of our runners who qualified. But then it's the biggest changers, biggest movers. Kyle Heath up 12 positions from where he started this race. Mike Chamberlain's up 14 positions in the highest runner of our championship, 6. And the question is, who is going to survive as that of, Mark Whitley? Yes, he's far back, but the racing up front, still as amazing and as entertaining as it was back on lap 1. It's just not as fast as they were just about 20 laps ago.
Yeah, definitely slowed down the pace here a little bit. But, man, the thing is, like you said, everybody can end up wrecked out of this. Mark Whitley's got to keep his head down. I know he's back in 9th right now, falling back with the pace, doesn't have the front end. But if anything happens to Chamberlain, anything happens to Kozchik coming down to the end, this could very well be his position to get back in here. But here it goes. Mark Kozchik to the inside of the 33 machine. He makes the pass for that 4th position. He now takes the championship lead. It's going to be his championship lose here coming down to the end.
The 2 biggest underdogs of the whole entire playoffs made it to this point, made it to the final 6. The Cinderella story isn't over yet, as it's going to be Mark Kozchik, the most starts of anyone in SRU Cup, their entire series in history. The 33 now is leading for a championship out of 4. In 4th place is contact up front in front of them. Watch out, here they come. It's going to be Mike Peters through the grass.
Oh, man, it's getting wild. Everybody, Peters is off to the grass. Kozchik up the 3rd now. It's Heath and Sutherland still battling for the lead up front. But, man, Kozchik has got to that position, but Chamberlain does not let him get away. This is going to come down to a battle all the way to that checker flag here. Kozchik, though, has had the better long-run pace throughout the rest of the race. We'll see if he can start to pull a gap. The 33 has had the most starts in the Cup Series, ladies and gentlemen. This is just a fantastic way here to possibly bring in this next, season 11 champion. Is Mark Kozchik going to do it?
Mark Whitley back in 9th place is the highest runner of all the drivers that have won this season. Everyone else that's out on track looking for their first win and potentially for their first championship, because Mark Whitley is the only driver of Championship 6 that has a championship already. So it is all for tonight. The first time we're seeing these next-gen updates hitting Atlanta. And what a show it's been, as it has been chaotic as they see the 77. The misfortunes, he's ran gold for the 2 last championships we've seen the 77 run. And Zach, it could be a bad omen at this point.
Yeah, I seen the gold paint scheme. It looks beautiful. Gotta say that it definitely looks great, and he's definitely had some good looking schemes there with that gold on him. But man, it's a driver that always feels like a bad omen for me. To put the gold on the car right there before you win it. But unfortunate for him, it's gonna look like it's gonna come down to not his championship as he was trying for 3 in a row. It's gonna need something big to happen. But the battle is for that championship is starting to grow. Koshik is opening up the gap. He wants to go win this thing, man. If he could drive up there and win this race, what a storybook ending that would be for Mark Koshik to the end of the season. Like you said, the two underdogs, the two drivers that we thought had the least amount of chance, they were the drivers that were outside the top 13 early in this race, battling for 14th and 15th. They're now in the positions to win this championship, and it shows you why you got to never have that never give up mentality. The 33, though, looking to claim that first championship.
The mental fortitude to just keep your head down. Trust if the race is going to come to you in a championship as well. You saw your other championship competitors all racing up in the top 5, top 10, all race long, but each one having an issue. It was first Steven Stympian, lap number 4, seeing his hopes snuffed out. Chuck Sweeting on that of lap just of 25, seeing his race out of this thing. Then it was Brad Delph bringing out one of our first cautions of the night. And now you see a Mark Whitley, big issues for himself, and it's all down to this. The 33, Koshik, as well as Chamberlain back in 5th. They are now our heaviest runners right now, but Koshik's got to be worrying about something because a little bit of blinking, he's been blinking all night long. Internet issues could be a reason why he doesn't win a championship.
It's something you never want to see, and hopefully that all clears up for him as we see him now stabilized. But yeah, if he has a little bit of an issue there, that opens up the door for Mike Chamberlain. Then also, if Mike Chamberlain has an issue, that opens up the door again for Mark Whitley. At least those 3 out on the racing surface still doing battle, man. This has been a wild, wild race, and I tell you what, it's been some great sim racing. And if you want to look for some sim racing equipment, everybody, make sure you go out there and check out Advanced Sim Racing. They are the fastest growing North American racing simulator chassis manufacturer and digital motorsports equipment retailer, owned and operated by passionate sim racers just like ourselves. So make sure you head on over to advancedsimracing.com and use that discount code FreakyFast5 to get 5% off of any ASR branded products there. So make sure you head on over to Advanced Sim Racing and check out what they got. They got all types of stuff. I'm sure you'll be if you're a sim racer, you're going to definitely be looking to buy some from them. So make sure you use that discount code there, FreakyFast5, to get that 5% off as we look to crown a champion here tonight. Sam, man, this is closing out to be one of the most wild races I've ever called in my commentating career. I can't think back of a more wild championship race.
No, and when you start out championship races, when it's all about just beating the other championship competitors, you usually have to say you might have to win the race to win the championship. And right now, Mark Koshik's in the prime spot where he does not need to win this race to win the championship. The other driver that he really has to keep his eyes on is the 70 of Mike Chamberlain, because both those vehicles are at the best condition right now. Mark Whitley back in 3rd is into the wall. Watch out as Yarrow gets on by. But got to be questioning, if a yellow comes out, what will that Mark Whitley be able to do? Or will that reset the rest of the field? Because most of the other drivers out here still have one more set of tires to work with. It's that of Mike Chamberlain that does not.
Oh man, this is if caution comes out, that really does hurt Mike Chamberlain's chances a lot for sure. Even though he's already dropped back to about 3.4 back, that is only 3 seconds. If anything happens to Koshik here, checks him up, he's right into that zone. So he's got to stay right there. But if a caution does come out, that really looms not well for him. Koshik luckily does have a set. And I can tell you, if Mark Whitley's pacing that car, he is not going to have a shot unless something major happens here. So if you're Koshik, you got to be thinking big picture here. And we know how, he's a veteran. He knows this game. He knows how to do this. He is in the position. He just needs to hold spot. He's right behind Heath. My question, do you go for the win? Do you try it? It's such a tough thing. You see Mark Whitley, he went for it. And where does he end up? Not a champion here tonight. So you got to weigh the risk versus reward. I think that's what Koshik's doing here in these final 20.
Koshik going to go all the way up to the outer groove, trying to find any type of momentum. Wasn't the fastest of our top 3, but certainly still been keeping it close. And here's the thing, in my mind, just based on what we've been seeing from these drivers, I wouldn't want to get close to anyone else. I might want to just back off, run my own race. I mean, you've seen Mike Chamberlain is falling back. Chamberlain right now is nowhere close. He is about 4 seconds, almost 4.5 seconds back from this 33. He can fall back, get himself out of trouble, and just let that Larry Blair and others go race this one out. Think of the championship, big picture. That's what you're going for. Yes, you like the win, but just like that, Heath gets out of trouble, and those are the moments in front of you. You might not have enough time to react to get out of the way.
Well, luckily clears him there, and like you said, Sam, that could happen in a blink of an eye. He's got to be paying attention here to this moment. And you know, Kyle Heath, he's doing his best to run his race here. He wants the best finishing position for himself to end out this race. So you know he's going to be driving very, very hard. But Koshik there clears him. We'll see if he can start to maybe pull a little bit of a gap here and get away. But man, oh man, this race is just, I still can't even fathom what has went down as Koshik has drove up the second now, 13th second in this race. I tell you what, he can win this thing too, Sam. He has got good long run pace. We've seen it throughout the night. That car gets better as the run goes on. He's driven his way up to 7th at one point on long runs. He's now closing it down to Sutherland. But how willing will he be able to risk for that win? I think he's going to not risk it, though. I just have that feeling Koshik is going to drive his race. If Sutherland gives it to him, he gives it to him. But he's not going to go try anything crazy.
I'm now starting to see a little bit of nerves, though, from my end. Just saw the 24 of Jason Adams coming out of pit road, puts 4 sets of top freshies on. He'll now be closing into our lead group. How aggressive does the 24 want to be? Because if he's able to get in front of our leaders, then a caution comes out. He's back on the lead lap. And for our leaders, they want this race to go clean and green to the end. But now there's going to be multiple different ideas how you want to go. But to the inside, here comes the 33. Here comes Mark. He has the championship in the lead currently where all the other championship drivers are, but he wants to lead tonight's race.
Man, this is a risk, but I tell you what, he's racing. He's a race car driver. He wants to go out here and race it down to the end. But like you said, here comes the 24 in the background. He's going to be closing into the back bumper of the 3. We've seen him have a few moments tonight where he's gotten pretty sideways. Got to be careful here if you're Jason Adams. And no, big picture here, man. This is a race that you're 2 laps down and you don't want to have a big effect on.
To the inside, here comes the lap car. Will he get loose out of the corner? He's side by side with a 33 and luckily looks good for now. We'll see how well he is coming under the entry of turn number 3. Forcing our leaders high. Got to make sure not to get loose on the entry where we've seen a lot of issues, but Adams still stays. He gets a run. Here they come out of turn number 4.
Oh, big run there from the top side there. Adams is going to drop back, and this just has even more chance for him to be into it. And oh, man, Heath almost into the back bumper to 33. These guys got to be careful. And no, big picture here. This is a race down to the end. We cannot have an incident take out Mark Koshik here, who's just trying to run his race. This is getting a little bit nervous for me, even Sam, here as we watch the battle keep going on. You got Michael Yarrow there in that 5th position. He's the car outside of this picture up top there. 2.1 seconds back. Don't know if he'll have enough time to close it down either there. But Sutherland trying to win this race. Heath also trying to be in position. But Koshik trying to win the championship goes to the bottom.
Koshik doesn't see the 24 on the inside, so instead he'll dive it down low. Coming out of turn number 2, the 33 is going to find himself side by side, but it's the run by the 1. And behind them, you see the looseness from the 3. If anything, we could see a caution behind our championship runner right now, but it's Koshik. Once again, diving it low, fighting with the slide job. He's going to be side by side, almost door banging with the 1 out of the corner. Here comes Heath as they go in the front stretch.
Oh, man, they got to manage this well. This is getting wild here down to the very end. It's going to be 11 to go. Mark Koshik in a chance to win a championship. They got the 24 Jason Adams here on new tires trying to get by in the lap car, but he's trying not to do too much. He's being a little bit hesitant. This is definitely starting to get a little wild there as you got Larry Blair also in the picture. This is getting wild, man. You got Yarrow there catching up with all this side by side. Koshik slide up the track. This is going to be almost contact. And now Adams backs out of it. This is getting wild here, Sam. I am nervous for these guys. 10 to go.
If you're Jason Adams, you just back out of it. That seems to be where his mind is. Just get out of the way. But the 33 runs high. Got to be careful of not drifting up to the outside wall. Coming out of the corner where it's been very loose. And you try to save it. And luckily for that Koshik, he's okay. But now on the back bumper of the 3, Kyle Heath. And the driver that's loving all this, it's that of Isaiah Sutherland looking for his first win. But Koshik up into the wall, rushing it for a second. He's losing ground now. Oh boy, that could have been a lot worse, but he's able to keep the speed. And there goes Jason Adams on the inside, but still not clear. They're side by side again into the corner number 1.
does not help it one bit at all. Koshik has got to solidify this. Don't even worry about holding position. He's 10 seconds ahead. Is Heath, big moment in front. He slides on the inside there. He checks up and saves it somehow. That puts Koshik back up in the second. Larry Blair up to third now. But man, oh man, they got to be careful if you're Koshik. No big picture. You're 11 seconds ahead of Chamberlain. Man, oh man, this is crazy, Sam.
Chamberlain's just hoping for a mistake from a 33 or for the 33 to get wiped out. Larry Blair has been very patient, just been waiting and looming for any type of mistake to pounce on it, but the 73 doesn't look like he wants to put any pressure, giving himself plenty of space, but there goes the 33! Oh, Koshik overcorrects into the wall! Here comes Mike Chamberlain! He's got 10 seconds to try to gain up to the 33. This is his chance. 8 laps to go. Isaiah Sutherland's gone. He's going for his first win, but the championship is now on the line.
Koshik has got to regain here. It's 7 to go. He cannot let this slip away. Man, oh man, he has just had a big moment down there in 2, and now somehow keeping it straight here. He's going to have to just solidify this race here because, man, it's still about a 9-second gap. It's still a pretty big gap, and right there, Chamberlain turning at 33.11. We'll see what Koshik can do here on this lap here to get it back going, but man, my heart cannot take this. We've got to keep this thing going, guys.
And Heath also, we've already seen the 3 get out of control and into some trouble. Now will we see Michael Yarrow try to make a pass on the 33 or just stay where he's at? Do you want to even race these championship contenders because they've had bad luck all night long? Every single one of them have been caught up in a wreck. Usually there's just one driver of our championship that are okay and survive, but it's that of the 33, Koshik. At least he's not a full second off, but Chamberlain's got to find some more speed, and he just does not have it currently.
No, he definitely does not. Chamberlain's still falling back, 33.603. Koshik 32.98. So time still being grown, and 32.59 from Koshik. So great pickup there from him that time. Right back on pace to what he was running. Here as he's solidified now to the 5th position and 5 to go. But man, you're never safe with this car from what I've seen. You have one big moment off of 2, as he's already had. It could all go backwards very quickly. So Chamberlain's just got to keep his head down. Keep focused, because you never know here with 5 to go. It's not safe for these guys, as Isaiah Sutherland with about a second lead. He's trying to win his first race. Larry Blair's trying to close it down. Mike Peters up the 3rd. I mean, this race has been one for the books here at SRU.
Larry Blair is trying to run down that of Isaiah Sutherland. We're going to keep the camera on the 33 of Mark Koshik because he is the driver that currently is going for a championship. And if any mistake happens, Mike Chamberlain back in 7th could steal it. 4 laps to go, going to be 3 laps to go here shortly. Blair's trying to run down, but I don't think there's enough time for the 73 to catch up to the 1. But the 33, I mean, what a run for Mark Koshik. We've notified it. We said it all night long. All-time most starts here in the Cup Series for SRU. All-time most starts. He has started the most, has 0 wins this season, has only 1 top 5. That is tied for 15th on top 5s of all the drivers this season, tied with 7th in the top 10s with 6. He was one of the bigger underdogs, tied up with Mike Chamberlain. Both those drivers were not even on our radar of winning the championship. Yes, they were in the top 6, but they were that of 5th and 6th on our list to watch out for. But here tonight, they are now the only 2 that really have a chance to win it, unless a big issue strikes with 2 laps to go.
2 to go. Down in the 1 and 2 for the penultimate time. Mark Koshik, what a storied career here at SRU. He's had the most starts of any Cup Series driver. No championship to his name, but that's all looking to change here tonight as he rounds through 3 and 4. He's going to look up to Barney the flagman as Isaiah Sutherland gets the freaky fast white flag. Koshik crosses the line here in 5th for one final time. He's 12 seconds up on the 70 of Mike Chamberlain. He's fought so many times throughout this Cup Series, trying to scratch and claw his way to a championship, and he's done it here tonight. Atlanta has took hold. The update of the new car has damaged everybody, took all the contenders out, and Koshik has survived down to 3 and 4. He is going to look to be the champion as Sutherland crosses the line to win the race. It's going to be Mark Koshik, your champion for season 11 here at Sim Racing Unleashed.
A night of firsts. The first time seeing the new update for the next gen, and what a race it was. Spectacular from start to finish. A first-time winner this season in Isaiah Sutherland, and a first-time champion is the 33, Mark Koshik. What a night, Zach. And oh my goodness, is it going to be a night to remember, a next step, really, for the next gen Cup car.
This right here, Sam, has definitely hyped me up for the future, man. We just seen a race for the books. It changed at every single moment. Nobody was safe at any point. You know, Koshik winning the championship, just a storybook Cinderella story there. You also got three first-time podium drivers of Isaiah Sutherland, Larry Blair, Mike Peters. I mean, we're gonna have four spicy, spicy interviews where there's gonna be some excitement and some happy drivers as Sutherland burns it down. Koshik also does his burnouts for his championship. It's been a night for the books here at Sim Racing Unleashed, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in. We're going to get our top three drivers and our champion up here in the booth to have a quick chat with them. We'll be back in the next few moments. And we are back here, everybody, at SRU. It's been the season finale here at Atlanta. What a crazy way to pull it off, man. In the last race of season 11 here, race number 16, we got three drivers we haven't had to talk to yet on the podium this season. And we have a underdog Cinderella story championship. Man, congrats to these four drivers that we're about to talk to. But our first one is Mike Peters in this 95. Let's have a quick chat with him up here in the booth. Hey, Mike and Zach up in the booth. You got a copy, man.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, Michael, a great run tonight, man. What a wild race to the season finale. Man, I just take us through your night, man. It had to be one that it just everything kept changing and the whole different race. You had to stay on top of it.
Yeah, it was interesting for sure. I know early on I accidentally got into it with one of the championship contenders. I felt awful about that down a little bit, and I don't think he realized I was already there. And got bounced around a little bit, which is fine. A lot of people are still learning the setup on the car, and me as well. But I just tried to stay in it. The biggest sweat that I had was I blew pit road, got a penalty, got a lap down, and then I was just praying it came out, and then I'm thumbing through relative timing and it shows that there's a guy ahead of me. I'm like, no, but luckily it was a iRacing glitch and I was able to get back on a lead lap and try to work my way back up there. Awesome racing with these guys as always.
Yeah, man, it was some awesome racing. I mean, this first update with this car, definitely a big change here. We gotta say from the boost point of view, it was great racing. How'd you enjoy it out there as a driver?
I got to say, I'm really happy that this is obviously a simulator for NASCAR, and I'm really happy that NASCAR has taken some real feedback from the teams, from the people that watch, and everybody, and they have brought some power back to these cars, taken some of the downforce away. Now, visually, it won't show it because they haven't rescanned it, but with the little 4 foot or 4 inch tall spoilers, which it still looks like you have the big ones, but we don't. The cars move around a lot. You're dirt tracking off of 2 and 4. I mean, it's great because you can race people. I know Yarrow and I and Isaiah and Kyle Heath, like we had laps. We're going 5 or 6 laps back and forth, high line, low line. It's great because it's not the pack racing, self driving car nonsense. It's like you can actually race, you can cross people over, multiple lines work. I think it's fantastic. I can't wait to see it in person.
Well, man, you definitely you guys put on a show for us tonight, Mike. It was one for the books, man. Congrats on third. And before we let you get out of here in the 95, man, and close out our season, anybody wants to shout out to?
Yeah, I mean, first off, Sim Racing Unleashed, this is one of the first leagues that I really had an opportunity to get involved in. Everyone's incredibly accommodating here. It's super fun. This is a great group of guys. And then also, too, I've got some motorsport partners that let me come do some stuff out here. Doing some stuff around Texas next year. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. There's a guy named Craig over there that's helping out with some of my motorsport stuff. My shop, the Awesome Shop, we manufacture some USB sequential shifters and handbrakes, and just a couple other companies that really helped me out. NASCAR Experience. If you guys ever want to drive a real stock car on a real racetrack, come out. We're always looking for instructors as well. But yeah, a lot of those companies just help me have fun, and that's what we're here to do.
Well, Mike, man, congrats on third, and you have a great off season, buddy. And yeah, congrats on the season finale here.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate you guys doing an awesome job on the broadcast as always.
Well, thank you very much, man. You have a great night. All right, everybody. That was your third place driver of Mike Peters there. What a way to close out his season. First podium, top 5 for him this season. As now we'll move it on up to our second place driver, and that's Larry Blair. First time he's got a podium this season. Let's hear from the 73 machine. Hey, Larry, it's Zach up here in the booth. You got a copy, man.
Yes, sir. How you doing, Zach?
Doing great, Larry. I tell you what, man, this race was one for the books, man. You started back in that 16th position, and tonight you're going to bring home that second spot, buddy. I tell you what, a race of attrition, man. It seems like people were falling away left and right. How was it out there in the car, though?
In the car, it was really good. I had good grip all night long. Just tried to avoid the wrecks whenever I seen them up in front of me, and tried to be cautious of the other drivers, especially the playoff drivers. Didn't want to be didn't want to take any of them out and ruin their chances of winning the championship. But like to say congratulations to Gomez on the championship. That was awesome and a surprise. So to see Mark Whitley and the caliber of driver he is get out of the race earlier than Steven Stampian out earlier, the caliber of driver he is, Cedric Hunter, and it was anybody's race, that's for sure. And like to say congratulations to Isaiah Sutherland too on an awesome job getting the win tonight.
Yeah, man. A lot of first times tonight. Definitely some good moments here to end the season here for race number 16 and season 11. Had the big update here for the car, big change in the way it's driven this season from the past earlier in the season. How do you think this bodes for yourself heading into the next season, man, in this next gen car? Because tell you what, it was a fun time for us up here in the booth watching you guys battle.
It gives me pretty good confidence going into next season. The car, you just have to have, well, I guess you could say you just need to be a little more conscious on your throttle control coming out of the corners, and you'll be fine. That's about the best advice I could give anybody. And they're fun to drive. They're fast.
Yeah, they
Really good
definitely
race.
are. Yeah, it definitely was some great racing, Larry. Man. It was a pleasure for us to call the action. I mean, you guys were like changing left and right lanes up, the bottom, the very top. It was great racing all night, man. But before we let you get out of here and close out the season for yourself, anybody wants to send a shout to?
Yeah, I'd like to thank all the drivers of the league just for being a really great group of guys to race with. Uh, Dave Bush, Steven Stampian for running an awesome league here over here at SRU, and Freaky Fast Broadcasting. You guys do an excellent job. I go back and watch the broadcast after the race most time while I'm going to bed. And just like to thank my wife and my family for allowing me to do this every week. So, but good job, guys. Appreciate everything this season. It's been awesome.
Well, Larry, I tell you what, man, congrats on not only second here tonight, man, but congrats on a great season. And we thank you very much for the kind words, man. You have a great off season, and get ready for that next one.
All right, Zach, you have a good one. Thank you, guys.
All right, everybody. That was
Also,
your.
want to show out
Oh,
also want to throw out a big thank you to everybody that tunes in to watch all of us race all the time. All the drivers on iRacing surely appreciate that. And anybody out there want to get into sim racing, just go get you a wheel and pedals, and you can be right on here with us someday.
that's exactly right, Larry, man. Well, I'll tell you what, congrats again, like I said, man, and you have a great off season, Larry.
You too, Zach. Have a good one. Thank you.
All righty, everybody. That's our second place driver here tonight. Larry Blair. What a way to close out the season for him. But let's move to our first time winner here, Isaiah Sutherland in the one car. Has shown a lot of speed this season, but he breaks through here at Atlanta. Let's hear how he got it done here tonight. Isaiah, it's Zach up in the booth. You got a copy, man.
Yes, sir. I got you, Zach.
Well, I tell you what, Isaiah, great way to break through in the season finale, my friend, and get that win here tonight in the number one machine. It was a wild race for us up here in the booth. It seemed like drivers left and right contenders were falling away, and you're able to come through here tonight and pick up that first victory. How does it feel to close out the season here on top?
Man, I told him after I crossed the finish line I could cry. Means a lot to me. Racing's my passion. I've always loved this stuff, and racing with this group of people, it's all you could ask for. Car felt amazing. I love the update, the low downforce, high horsepower. Gives you a lot of control. Had some damage at the beginning of the race. I think Steven Stimpian hit the wall, and we touched a little. So I had to pit, went a lap down. After I went in the pits, fixed the damage, I just went out there and gritted my teeth and just drove as hard as I could. But it was an amazing battle with everyone.
Yeah, it definitely was an amazing battle, man. We talked to a few of the other drivers about the update, and you said you very much enjoyed it. And, even from the broadcast standpoint, it seemed super racy here tonight. It seemed like you had a lot of options. It seemed like all the grooves work, as a driver, that doesn't come by, very often where you get to use every single lane. How was that availability tonight? Because it looked fun.
Oh, I mean, it was amazing. On restarts, you could gauge and see which line was moving. If it was too wide in front of you and you were by yourself behind them, you could go in the turn inner high and choose to stay high. You could choose to go middle, or you can go low, depending on how well you can control that throttle and control your steering coming off the turn. You'd hang right there with them and even gain on them, especially with that draft. So this update's amazing. iRacing's done a good job mimicking what NASCAR's done. I really think it puts the drivability back in the driver's hands, and you're going to see some exciting racing from now on. But yeah, I love it. Car handled good, and I felt like I could put it anywhere I wanted to.
Well, man, that definitely bodes well for the future for sure, man. So congrats on the win here tonight. Isaiah drove a great race, my friend. But before I let you get out of here for your victory, anybody you want to send a shout out to in that one machine?
100%. I got to thank my parents. They watched the entire race tonight. It was awesome for them to be able to see me get my first win on the last race of the season. I got to thank my brother-in-law, Eric. He's watching as well, and they were all excited. So I got to thank those guys. You guys do a wonderful job in the broadcasting booth, and I also got to thank all the competitors I race with week in, week out. It's great competition, and I'm here for it.
Well, congrats on the first one, Isaiah. It was a great time calling it up here in the booth, man. You have a great offseason, buddy.
You too. Thank you very much.
All right, everybody. That was your first time winner here tonight at the Atlanta Motor Speedway here for SRU, Isaiah Sutherland. What a drive it was for him to pull it off. But now it's all going to come down to our championship interview here. It's Mark Koshik, the driver with the most starts in Cup Series, history here at SRU. He got that championship here tonight. He fought for it. And, man, let's hear what he had to go through, because I'm sure there's going to be some emotion here. Hey, Mark and Zach up in the booth. You got a copy?
I hear you loud and clear.
Well, Mark, I tell you what, coming into here tonight, it was a pleasure to call this action not only all season long, But to be able to crown you the champion here tonight at SRU has got to be one of the greatest moments here in our broadcast, man. Getting into the questions, first off, how does it feel to win the championship? You got the most starts in Cup Series history to get this first championship here, and it's such a wild race like it was. This has got to mean a lot to yourself.
Woo woo. Well, I got to tell you, I first of all, I don't know what to say because I gave my speech writers the weekend off. They're all in Cabo, so I really don't know what to say. I'm not prepared. But I mean, my first thought is to thank every single driver that comes out and races in Sim Racing Unleashed every week. Week in and week out in the 4 series that we have. I got to thank all of these guys. And I also have to thank Freaky Fast. Part of the reason this league has grown the way it has is because of your broadcasts. They're awesome broadcasts. You guys are awesome. And that's a big part of why this league blew up from, 10 or so guys to however many are in here.
Yeah, man. It's been a great time, to put, take us into your car there in the final 10 laps. We've seen you, going up there trying to battle for the win.
I hit the wall. That's what happened in the last time. And I was, sort of taking it easy because I'm looking at my relative trying to find out where Chamberlain was behind me because that's who I was racing. And, stupid, lost focus for a second and hit the wall. And I said, all right, now I don't have to worry about this interview. But I mean, the car was challenging to drive, and it kind of fits my style because I kind of take it easy and then I go at the end, and all of a sudden, I don't know who took out who and what happened for me to end up near the top, but it fit, it fit the way I race.
It definitely did. I even brought that up in the race. You had the most Cup Series starts, so you've been in the Cup Series long enough to know the older packages where this car was somewhat similar to what we got tonight. A little bit more off throttle time, a little harder to drive, and a little more in the driver's seat. How do you think this bodes well? Winning this championship and going into the next season, man, because it's got to fit your style, like you said.
Yeah, this car is challenging. You have to drive this car all the way around the track, which is, that's what I like. And unfortunately, it cuts into my beer drinking time because it's hard to drive with one hand with this car. So I may lose some weight, but it's in. But I also, before we leave, I got to thank Robbie Darnell for painting all of my cars. He's an excellent painter, and I don't know if he does it, but if you look him up, he's probably somewhere.
Well, I'll tell you what, Mark, man, definitely a Cinderella story here tonight. One of the greatest championship races we ever had to call the pleasure of. Before I let you get out here and go celebrate this thing, anybody else you want to send a quick shout out to that helped you get here in this machine, man, here tonight in the 33?
No, I mean, I can't thank my cats. They really don't do anything. So I really just want to stick with you guys with the excellent job that you do, like beyond excellent job you do. And again, everybody at SRU, Steven Stempian and Dave Bush for running this Cup Series and all the other guys that show up week to week. It's made it fun. And, thanks.
Well, Mark, have a great night, man. You go celebrate this thing and have a great off season also, man. This is what you got to cherish.
Yeah, thanks again.
All right, everybody. That was your champion, Mark Koschik, in the 33 machine here. It's season number 11 here at SRU. I'm mind blown. I'm speechless. If you'd have said, Zach, Mark Koschik is going to be the champion at SRU this upcoming Sunday, I'd have said, well, I mean, he's got a chance. But, man, I tell you what, it's just a Cinderella story, ladies and gentlemen. If you just started tuning in late, make sure you go check out the rest of this race because this is one you definitely are going to have to go back and take in because it was wild from start to finish. As we bring up our race results, let's look at our Freaky Fast top 10. It's Isaiah Sella bringing up that first victory. Larry Blair's going to come home in the second position. Third is going to go to Mike Peters. Fourth place there, Kyle Heath battling all the way down to the end. Fifth is going to be our champion, Mark Koschik. Sixth is going to be Michael Yarrow. Seventh is Mike Chamberlain, just coming up second here tonight in that championship battle. Then back to eighth, it's going to be Mark Whitley, possibly one of the season favorites here, looking for 3 in a row championships. He's going to finish up the night, ended up here eighth, with Jason Adams ninth. And rounding out that Freaky Fast top 10 is going to be Nicholas Lobe. As you look through the rest of the field, you got to say Hunter Hayward there in the 11th position. one of the notables for sure. The contact between him and Mark Whitley, that is definitely going to be one that's going to be a look back at for sure for the ages and say what could have been. So, man, a crazy, crazy race. You look to the rest of it, Chuck Sweeting, Steven Stimpy, and other playoff contenders out of this race early with contact that just did not play out for them tonight. But man, I just cannot tell you, you people out there, how great this race was tonight here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. 146 laps of just wild action, and we've had a pleasure to call all this action here. As man, I tell you, any final thoughts before we get out of here tonight and close out our season here at SRU? Because it was one for the books.
I mean, this is incredible racing. Like we said, this next gen car that is now transitioning to the current gen with a new update. Kudos to iRacing for making this drivable. We got to see it. All the lanes were being utilized, and this car is difficult. Our top contenders that were looking consistent did not finish out this race. I mean, Steven Stimpian, Mark Whitley, Chuck Sweeting, Brad Delph, they were our heavy favorites coming in. It was Chamberlain, Koscheck that really were there. They had a chance, but it was probably less than a 1% chance in my mind that I thought we were going to see Mike Chamberlain and Koscheck be our final two here at the end, and they really were the final two. Mark pulling away in those final couple of laps. It just, what a Cinderella story. Also, congratulations to Sutherland on his first win this season. Next season is going to be a blast for these drivers. But man, what a race it was for us to be able to cover here late.
Yeah, it was a pleasure here at Freaky Fast broadcasting for us to cover season number 11 here at SRU. Multiple times this season we had some great races, but the way to close it out like this, you couldn't ask for anything better. So we got to thank everyone here at SRU, all of the admins who helped put it on, Dave Bush, Steven Stimpy, and just those guys are the backbone of this league, and they really keep it together. And just got to thank them so much for allowing us to be a part of this action for multiple seasons here, SRU. And as we look to close out tonight's broadcast, this will be our last broadcast here on Sunday nights from SRU, as we will not be broadcasting next season with them here. But man, I gotta tell you, thank you so much to them guys here. We love them all. They have been a pleasure to work with all this time, and man, some of the coolest guys you'll get into. And if you're looking for a league on Sunday nights, make sure you hit up SRU. They got big things coming in the future. This is a group and a family group that will not be will not be folding. These guys will be around for a long time. I mean, it just shows 11 seasons into it here in iRacing. You don't see many leagues get to that point. So got to congratulate them on that. And now we're going to send it up to the man, the myth, the legend, our producer, Robert Moyer Jr., to close out tonight's broadcast here at SRU after we crowned a champion.
All right. Well, thank you, Zach. Thank you, Sam. Great calling all season by you guys, and when Sam was up here, and all the other commentators that help, give us what we have here at SRU. You want to talk about a race and just a lot of emotions going through. These drivers had a lot of emotions. Steven Stempian unfortunately hit the wall after just being very, very focused all season to get to this point and then have something happen like that. But we all know this is racing, and things are going to happen out there. And like you guys said, I honestly, guys, right now, and ladies and gentlemen, I was watching, I have a lot of emotions going on right now because, like you said, Zach, this is our last race here with Sim Racing Unleashed. We are moving on to the future of something else, so stay tuned to that on the Freaky Fast Broadcasting Facebook page, and maybe you can come out and join us when you're not watching Sim Racing Unleashed, or if they have a night off, you come out and watch us, as they are going to be having Max TV taking over Sunday nights, so congratulations to them for picking up Max TV. Really good commentators and very good broadcasting over there. But never thought in my wildest dreams, and I don't like saying that a lot, but man, oh man, whoever thought Mark would wow. I mean, like you guys say, never give up. I mean, honestly, never give up. I used to be a driver and race out there, and never thought there was plenty of chances that I would ever get a win, but you keep going and you grind at it, and you grind at it, and tonight's the proven fact that you grind at it, you can achieve it. And he just got his first championship here at SRU, man, in years. And this is something that he's going to cherish for a very, very, very long time. And I hope he has another one. But, man, when you get that first one, it means so much to drivers out there. But it's something else. It's something else. But with that being said, I'm going to bring up our next upcoming schedule here. As you can see, we are off tomorrow night as NISCC Truck Series is on their basically vacation until their next season starts here very shortly. And then Wednesday night, we're going to be off to Dover with Underdog Racing League at 8:30, and then Stars and Stripes at Phoenix. And then we head to the NISCC Cup Series Saturday night, round number 2, last round before we get 8 drivers in at Kansas. And we'll be able to see Brian Johnson, Zach Hall, Cedric Hunter, all of them out there battling for a championship on Saturday night. So make sure you tune in for that. But with that being said, hopefully everybody enjoyed tonight's content, because I know I sure did. And man, oh man, it was one for the showing. So make sure you share this to your favorite social media platform of your choosing. We do much appreciate it. But with that being said, from Atlanta, virtual side of things, we are going to get ready to sign off here. And we want to say to everybody out there from SRU and their families, thank you very, very much for the support all season, but we will catch you in the next one. Until then, we want to say here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting to everybody, God bless everybody. We love yous all. Peace out.